Hey everyone, welcome to the reading. This is a pick a card reading on where am I at spiritually right now? Where am I along the spiritual journey? What can I work on to increase my spirituality, and what does Spirit want me to know about my spirituality? So we've got 3 piles as usual. This will be pile 1 with the Mookaite, pile 2 with the Citrine, and pile 3 with the Amethyst. I'll give you a second to pick your cards and I'll see you in the reading. Hi pile 1, if you chose the Mookaite, this will be your reading. So I'm just going to pop these over to the side for a minute, and we're going to use the Magdalene Oracle cards to do the rainbow. Now this is the rainbow bridge from the light body, and it represents from the earthly plane into the spiritual realm and back down again. So let's have a look at what's coming up in your rainbow. Awesome. You've got the beloved, acceptance, heart and soul, the universal Christ, revelation, little children, divine order, and finally the outcome is co-creation. We'll just pop this one down here. Okay, so it's important when we're doing spiritual readings, guys, that you remember that you've already made it. You already are there. Ultimately, everything is you. There is no separation. So it's a really important reminder that these are just tools of where you're resonating right now today. It doesn't mean that this is your identity. It doesn't mean that you have to over-identify with anything that I say. So I really want you guys to take a moment and remember that this is just information for this minute, this microsecond. Don't over-attach to it and just take it with a bar of soap, because ultimately you are the biggest authority on your life. And I believe in you. I believe in your own ability to recognize where you're at on your path in your spiritual journey. But given that, there's always help that we can look at and see what Spirit wants to bring through for us. So let's have a look. So the foundation for your inquiry in your spirituality is the beloved. I really think that you guys are on the path to creating a divine union within yourself of your divine twin flame. So what that means is that the divine masculine and feminine elements and qualities of your spiritual field are unifying in a marriage to create a unified whole, a unified oneness with the divine within. So that can look like a trigger coming in from an external party, like a divine twin flame. Now, when I say that, I do not mean that there's a person outside of you that you have to have a relationship with in order to find your spirituality. What I mean is that in the process of spiritual awakening, there is a process called divine twin union that we all go through, that is a unifying of the masculine and feminine qualities of the universe itself within us through the marriage of the divine feminine and divine masculine. So that can look like many things, but generally there is a person outside of you that triggers this awakening that you have a relationship with that can be tumultuous. It can be it basically shakes you to your core. And essentially what I'm saying to you is that ultimately the divine partner that you're looking for is within you. It's God, it's Source itself, it's the universal Christ. And it is a co-creation between your beloved and you, this reality that you're walking around in. And I'm saying to you, I feel like you're finding that within yourself at the moment. That's the process that you're currently going through. That being said, I feel like it's going to reveal to you a lot over the next few months, specifically about the reality that you're walking around in and the universe itself. Because you do have acceptance here in the field of relationship, I think there's nothing that you can do about it other than accept it for what it is and try to avoid falling into the divine order of depression. Because sometimes when we're looking at the world, we can't see a purpose for things, and we end up falling into this idea that maybe there isn't a divine order. Maybe everything isn't the way it should be. But I'm saying, yes, it is. I think that you need to have a bit of a playful attitude with the universe around you right now, because ultimately, spiritually, you're becoming the Christ child, which means that if we talk about levels of spiritual awakening, there's the first awakening within the self where we become the I am presence. I am God. I am the universe. I am all that is. And therefore, I am not separated. Once we reach that level of awareness, our perception of the world around us changes dramatically from expression of external projection to internal truth. I know that I'm creating everything around me, and therefore I take emotional responsibility for the things that I'm creating around me, and I can basically trigger changes in my external awareness or my external experience through my own understanding of how I'm projecting into my mirror. And that's the level that I see you guys at right now, where you are being triggered into an awareness of how you're creating the reality that you're creating around you through the relationships that you're having with both yourself, other people around you, and the divine twin union within, the masculine and feminine archetypes of the reality that you've created, and how that's playing out within you as a child of God. And remember, it is a co-creation. So when we are working with these kinds of energies, it's always important to bring it back to the oneness, the unity, the I am presence that you are, and reminding you that when we wake up within the Christ within ourselves, it can be very overwhelming and it can be a little bit crazy, not going to lie. So when we're going through that process, it's like we find the divine within, and it's so overwhelming that we can get caught up in our egos and attach it to an external source, like a person outside of you is the only way that you can find this fulfillment. It's the only outcome that you'll accept. Only when you fall in love with this person on the external plane can you ever get to that enlightenment phase where we're living in heaven on earth as Adam and Eve in the garden. And what I want to say to you is the universe is saying to you quite clearly through this reading, that's not the outcome we're aiming for. The outcome we're aiming for is you in bliss in this moment right now, here today with me, the universe, as your lover, as your co-creator, as your co-pilot. There is nothing outside of you, because to say that there is something outside of you is to separate yourself from me. To say that there's an outside and an inside is a separation in and of itself. So remember that. Remember that you are whole right now. You don't need to try. You don't need to do anything. You're already there. So let's see what else is coming up for you guys in relation to where you're at right now. So a new earth has come up, which means that you're going into 5D, fifth density, fifth dimension, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. They're all just labels that we give to ourselves so that we can focus our attention and awareness to a specific frequency. And I'm saying to you, you are walking into the fifth dimensional energies, and you're there now. You don't have to wait for it to come. And I think this is what this card is actually referring to. It's holding right now. It's happening right now. Like, you don't need to wait for this thing to come. You're already there. It's just, can you perceive it? So the fifth dimension, from my perception, and that's is my perception, it's not your perception, so take it with a grain of salt. The fifth dimension, from my understanding of things, is the opening of the inner world, the ability to channel energy from within and make it physical on the outside of you through your perception, through your recognition of the relationship in the first place. And it's saying to you, when you're waiting for something, you're creating waiting for something. When you are something, then you are that thing, and that's what you're creating. So it's just a reminder that you don't need to wait for this thing. It's already here and it's now. I remember soul plan, the fated life versus the destined life. I feel like you are in alignment with your reality right now, and I'm saying to you, you may be feeling a little bit like you're out of alignment, that there's a little bit of depression around you. But the universe is saying to you, this is just a stage. It's just you opening your crown and recognizing that there is a memory, there is a fated path that you're walking, and it is predetermined, and you can't get it wrong. So just know that you are in alignment with this awakening, this spiritual awakening that you're going through to enter into the fifth dimensional reality in your physicality of your 3D life. So the fifth dimension is here now. It's not something that we're getting to. It's already here. Like, time is the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension would be the internal world. So you've got your external world, and then you've got your internal world. The fifth dimension is in the internal world, and it's recognizing and making that as rich and as developed as the external third dimensional experience that we're having. And that's the game. How can we create the richness within that we see without? The blue flame, spontaneous awakening, interaction, and integration. So I would say to you that this is the pile that is going through the twin flame union because it's a spontaneous awakening of the blue flame, the Magdalene, the energy of the ascended master, the fifth dimension, the throat chakra. That's why it's blue. And can you see here how you've got this universal Christ right next to it? It's saying to you, expect a spontaneous awakening if it hasn't already happened. Know your labels. Your labels are how you create your reality. They're the thing that you apply to your world that gives you your limitations. If you say that a cup is solid, then the cup will be solid. If you recognize that it's just a frequency of light at its subatomic level, then you know that it is not solid. It is an illusion of solidity created through vibrational harmonious frequency. So it's about knowing your labels and knowing how to transcend those labels and then applying it to your spirituality in a way that allows you to see beyond the illusion of the third dimension. Express gratitude. Find the gratitude for what you already have. It's in the gratitude for the revelation of the internal Christ that you realize your heart and your soul have already accepted the oneness that we are within. It's time to look at the world in awe, in a way that a child would look at the world. Given a paintbrush and pencils, a child doesn't stop and ask, should I or shouldn't I? They just express. And so that's the energy that the universe wants you to play with right now. Just be your authentic self and express yourself in the way that you are. Observe the things that are going on in your environment and how they're playing out in your world. And then it's through that observation that we can see the patterns of how we're creating what we're creating, through the labeling that we're labeling, through the judgments that we make, through the co-creational energies of the universal Christ within. It's through understanding and observation that we get there. And it's in the darkest of the dark that we find the shining light within. So this area that you're going through right now, this feeling of the void, this feeling of separation, of desperation, of internal need for an external outcome, just know that it's part of the process. All right, like it is a natural process. You don't have to try, you don't have to do, you just have to be. You have to find the isness within to allow for the acceptance of the reality that is playing out around you and for you, knowing that the universe, God, spirit, source is actually the unifying factor in all of it. And so therefore you don't have to unify yourself. It's already unified. You just have to be there to experience it. So I think that's all I've got for you guys. I hope that that made sense. Please do let me know in the description box how you feel about that reading. I would really appreciate some feedback. And love you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hey everyone, if you chose pile 2, then this will be your reading. Just going to pop these over to the side for a minute while we use the Magdalene to have a look at your rainbow. Now your rainbow body is the body that bridges from the center of your source all the way out to the edge of the universe and back into yourself. It's the rainbow bridge between dimensions. It's the halls of Amenti, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have a look at each layer of the rainbow and how it's affecting your practical physical life and where you're at spiritually, and maybe get some tips for how we can improve. Now guys, it's really important that when we're doing these kinds of readings that I remind you that you've already made it, you're already there. You're already awakened. There's no getting there or being there or any of the striving or the searching that we as humans like to do. It's just a reminder that, you know, this is just a snapshot of information in this moment right now today that can help us to connect in a more conscious way. Okay, so we've got liberation, co-creation, illumination, the secret, transformation, confusion, and perception. And the outcome of all of that is decision. So from what I can see, you're about to be liberated in the physical world. So liberation over here is representing the base chakra. It's all about liberating yourself from the physical constraints that you find yourself tangled up in. I think it's also a liberation from the physical body. spiritually, we have to go through the process of embodiment, but we also have to go through through the process of disillusionment. And I think that because you've got this here in this position, it's telling me that you're liberating yourself from the idea that you're just your physical body. You're not your physical body. Your physical body is a part of you, just like your hand is part of you. It's not who you are, though. And I think that you're coming to the realization of this over the next few months, where you're starting to embody the idea that physicality is just an illusion. So with co-creation here in your relationship field, I think that you do have a really solid relationship with the divine. I think that you are connected spiritually, and I feel like you're using your spiritual gifts in a way that allow you to follow the physical signs that you've been given in order to ascend the physical body. So I also feel like because you've got illumination here right next to the co-creation, there's something that's going to be illuminated by the divine over the next few weeks. And I feel like the illumination is the sacred secret that nothing is real, everything is an illusion, and even the idea of self is an illusion. And the sacred secret talks about how we use the energy of the universe to create the things that we enjoy, the things that we are experiencing, and the reality that is around us. It's the secret to manifestation. It's the secret to the truth of your identity. And I think spiritually at the moment you're going through this revelation, really, of the transformation between being a physical human self to an immortal light being. Now, this can create a lot of confusion, and there are a lot of little potholes along the way. And I think that with confusion in your third eye chakra, it's like you're a little bit confused about what the divine is saying to you recently in your spirituality. And that's normal. We all go through that stage regularly, because don't forget, consciousness is a wave. Sometimes you'll be on point, sometimes you'll be confused, sometimes you'll see it clearly, other times you won't. And it's cyclic. So everything goes up and everything comes down. And I think that this is one of those times where the confusion that you're feeling or that you're perceiving in your third eye is because you're attracted to something that you shouldn't be. Maybe it's the idea of self. Maybe it's the idea of body. Maybe it's the idea of religion. Maybe it's the idea of, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with religion there, guys. I'll be really clear. Religion is really purposeful and it's useful. And it is a teaching tool that the divine has given us to embody our spirituality. The problem with religion is that it's limiting. It holds on to the idea of the separation of self from source. And I think that ultimately we may not control source, but we are a part of source. It's like we're source's little finger and we're walking around in the world thinking that we're completely separated, but all along it was connected to the hand, which is connected to the body. So it's one of those kinds of things where it's like, don't fall for the illusion that you're separate. Don't think that you are going through this transformation only to end up in a place where you're still trapped in this body with no way out. So I definitely think that there is a decision that you need to make. And that decision is to liberate yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, and in every way, really. Because ultimately, the liberation that you're looking for is the liberation of the idea that you are separate from source. And I think that spiritually, that's where you're at. You're going through the reunification and disillusionment of the human self, which can be very confusing, very upsetting, and very lonely. It can feel like your whole world's falling apart. It can feel like everything you thought was real and that you thought was true was wrong. So how can you trust anything in the future? Every relationship that you've ever wanted hasn't worked. Every dream that you have, it hasn't worked. It feels like a complete dissolution of the world around you. And I'm saying to you, it's not. It's a transformation. The universe is saying to you, I'm transforming all of your ideas. The way home sometimes is through disillusionment. If we're holding on to too many illusions, eventually the universe is going to help to disillusion ourselves through the illumination of the inner self and through the illumination of the temporariness of everything around you. So let's jump in and have a look at, we'll see which of these oracle cards have come up for you. The Void. What was I just saying about it can feel like your whole world is falling apart? It feels like You're all alone in the world. Where is God when you need God most? Why are you not getting anywhere? Why aren't your prayers being answered? Why is all of these horrible things happening? It seems like it's a never-ending journey between pain and suffering, and I'm here to say to you, it's not. You're on a bridge, and you're going through a really sacred process of reconnection with self. And the only way to get there is to go through the void, to let go of everything that's in separation. And everything that's in separation leaves you in this space where there's only one thing. See that tiny little dot? That's all there ever is. So I'm not sure if that's coming up on the camera, actually. Okay, so see that tiny little dot in the middle there? And it's separated from all the other stars? That's because there is only one thing in creation, and that one thing is source. It's God. God is omnipresence. It's everywhere. It's not just what we choose it to be. It's everything. So it's a good reminder that, when we are feeling like we are going through the void, what's actually happening is we're going through a rebirth. So you've got the 7 star sisters, birthing creation's tapestry of life and expression. This is talking about, again, see all of the stars on the card here? It's talking about how the stars in a row all talk together to create a reality that we are living in as a tapestry, as a divine picture that we're all painting together. And each of us plays our part. We each have our string. We each have our star. We each have our perception that we're adding to this big tapestry that we're all going through. And I think that at the moment, there's this big longing for home within you. And the universe is saying it's because you're going through the void space. You feel like you're this tiny little star floating in space, separated and away from everybody else. Everybody else seems to be having fun and dancing and singing and knowing their place. Why can't you find yours? That's what I hear you asking yourself. Why can't I find mine? And the answer is you will. You're almost there. You're liberating yourself as we speak. It is a co-creation, and you're not the only one involved. The universe is involved. God is involved. The source is involved. And it's saying to you, the only decision that you ever really have is the decision to surrender to my process and trust me, or resist my process, get all upset and hurt yourself. Honestly, that's the only decision we ever have. And if we have love for God, if we understand that God is all loving and doing everything for us, not to us, then it's much easier to surrender into the process of this liberation, because it is a stripping away of all of the layers of your identity. And at its core, what you're going through is an identity shift. The seeker's journey. You are on a journey right now. You're on the journey to self. You're on the journey to recognizing that the world around you is not as it appears. There is a secret, and that secret is that we're all under the illumination of the light that is the creator presence that we are. And I think that ultimately, while you're on this journey, you need to take an unorthodox approach. Do something different. Don't follow everyone else. Follow you. Follow your signs. Follow your God. Follow your source. And do what's right for you in any given moment, because ultimately, that's all we can ever do, right? Like, I think that it's easy to follow a guru or to, do a course, do a class, whatever it is. And I'm saying to you, don't do that right now. You're supposed to be walking your journey, and your journey is not everybody else's journey. So just keep that in mind, you guys, and follow your own self, because you do have the ability to see the future. You do have the ability to prophecy. And I think that ultimately, sometimes when this has come out with confusion and perception, you may not be trusting your own prophecy right now. You may not be trusting your own perception. And that's normal. When you're going through the stripping away of everything, how can you trust what is the illusion? But the universe is saying to you, it's not that you don't have the ability to prophecy. It's not that you can't trust your intuition. It's that you need to let go of your ideas about how your intuition is talking to you. You need to let go of your ideas on how exactly the universe is actually communicating with you in a non-literal way. Like when we first wake up and start communing with the divine, we all tend to take it very literally. It's not. It's abstract language. It's all about the analogies, not necessarily the literal words or the literal visions that are coming through. And I think that ultimately it's all about your credibility and your status in the world. I think that that's where you're coming into this liberation that I was talking about before. I think you're exactly where you need to be, guys. And I think that it's just a decision to surrender to the journey, use your own approach, don't follow everyone else, trust your own visions and your own spiritual understanding of things. And this longing for home that you're feeling, that homesick feeling of connection, is coming back to you. And you're in the process of co-creating that with the divine. And it is a process. So just understanding that it's a process can be really, really helpful. And understanding that in order to get to the new place that you're going, you have to go through the eye of the needle. So you have to go through the void space. It's like between the rainbow and you is this void that you have to go through, and you're in that space right now. So you're doing really well. Your guides and your angels and whatever you believe in are all saying to me to tell you that they love you so much. You are not alone. They're going to give you some sort of synchronistic sign later today to let you know that they have actually heard you and that they are there and working with you, and that you're not alone. You're in this process of liberation. So I hope this helps you guys. Please do let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And love you so much. And I will see you in the next one. Hey, Pile 3, if you chose the Mookite, this will be your reading. So I'm just going to pop these over here, and we will be using the Magdalene Oracle cards to have a quick look at your rainbow body, your light body, to see where you're at spiritually and what needs to happen in order to open up a little bit more. Now, it's really important when we're doing spiritual readings, guys, that we always remember there is no getting there. There is no enlightenment. You are already enlightened. You are already on the path. Like, there is no now other than the now that you're in. So it's all about recognizing that the only thing you can do in this life is engage in depth. And I feel like it's really important that we remember that when we're looking at spirituality. So just keep that in mind as we go through the readings. This is just a snapshot of the energy that I'm picking up right now. It is not who you are as an identity. It is not who you are as a person. It's literally just the energy that we're dealing with today that could help unlock something for you or help you to progress in some way. So in the foundational energy, you've got the Magdalene herself, and that lets me know that you guys are very grounded in your spirituality, and that there is some sort of, I want to say, you're definitely part of the blue flame, or you've enacted your blue flame, which is the fifth dimensional frequency. So you definitely are on the ascension pathway. That being said, I do feel like you're going through a bit of a transitional phase right now, where there's this energy of a resurrection happening. So with the judgment coming up here in the heart space, I feel like some of the things that you're judging to be truth about reality may actually be a lie. It's mythic reality is talking about the reality that we create around us through the stories that we tell each other. Like, an example would be that nothing but physical reality exists, or and I'm not saying that that's what you believe. I'm just saying, like, anything that isn't in alignment with a higher dimensionality or isn't in alignment with the truth of reality as it is. It's the mythic reality that we create for each other. And they're saying that that mythic reality is in the process of crumbling. You're going through an enlightenment phase where you're becoming the prophet of the new world, the new light, the new energetic structure that we as a collective being have decided to embody in this lifetime. And I feel like some of the judgments that you may have been making about the past or where you've been might actually be changing over the next few weeks. So I think energetically you're in the space of moving from the place of I am into the place of we are. And I think that that's the alignment that you're going through in the middle, at the moment. So you do have the messenger as the outcome of that process. So what I think is happening is that you are actually activating your either mediumship, channeling, claircognizance, clairaudience, your higher sensory perceptions that are allowing you to be the messenger between the realms so that you can reach the full spectrum of the rainbow and bring guidance and messages through for the people here on the planet. So just be aware that you may actually be going through a process of opening up your psychic abilities, and that can also feel very destabilizing because the matrix is like, how do you figure out how a puzzle piece fits into a puzzle when you can't see the whole puzzle? That's what that's talking about. It's saying to you, don't worry about trying to figure it all out right now. Just know that the process is the process. You can't get out of the process. You can't rush the process. You can't help the process. All you can do is surrender to the process. And the process itself is the process of resurrection, the resurrection of the divine light, the Mother Mary and Father God that is inside of you right now, that is the divine connection, the blue ray of communication, the blue ray of the fifth dimension. So you are working on your throat chakra right now. You are working on communicating with the higher realms, whether that's through deceased loved ones or through channeling. I actually would highly recommend that you guys practice channeling, where you sit down with a pen and paper, pretend you're looking at someone across the table and ask them a question, and just use your imagination as a guide for whatever they would say. And just sit there, and even though it'll feel silly the first few times you do it, ultimately, eventually, you'll fall into daydreaming, where someone will actually come in and sit by you and give you a story to write. And so I think it's really important that you guys recognize you are the messengers of the collective. And where you are spiritually right now is all about finding that within yourself and becoming the prophet for everybody else. So spiritually, I think you're actually on a really good ascended path. The new earth, what was I saying? 5D frequencies all the way, guys. I think that you've already ascended, and that you are at a space where you're starting to embody the newness, the new frequencies of the mythic reality that we're letting go of, and becoming the weavers of the divine tapestry that is us at a bigger scale, or at a bigger picture. So I also feel like at the moment you guys need to hold your vision. I think that there's a call here for you to remember the soul plan, remember the story, remember the bigger picture of all of us together as one here on the planet, raising the vibrational frequency from 3 dimension to 5th dimension, 4th density, and reminding yourself that you play a role in that, or you will play a really significant role in that. It's through the messenger that the universe will deliver the frequencies that we need in order to ascend as a group. So I think that your soul plan is actually coming into being in the next few months. The blue flame, what was I saying before? The blue ray, and it's come right under Mother Mary. So sorry, my language is awful today. You are definitely embodying the divine mother right now. You are a messenger. You have a 5th dimensional body that is fully activated and integrated. And now you're going through the process of removing anything that's blocking you from integrating that in a really physical way. So don't be surprised, guys, if over the next few weeks there's a few synchronistic things that you had thought about that all of a sudden happen, because you are becoming clairvoyant as well. Know your labels. You know those judgments we were talking about before? I think that there's an identity judgment thing going on here, like where you've judged yourself to be a certain thing, and it's limiting you to step into this energy of this ascended master, where you do have the full mental realms at your calling. So the blue ray is also talking about the mental realms, the realms in which we can telepathically engage with communication with others. And I feel like in this particular circumstance, you're going through the process of recognizing how your labels are limiting your conceptualization, like how you're understanding things is limited by the labels that you use. So spiritually speaking, I feel like at the moment it's a process of going through your own judgments and relieving and releasing anything that isn't in alignment with this spontaneous awakening that you've had, where the mythic reality is falling away and you're finding the grounding into the truth of who you really are as a divine light being, and you're being resurrected as such. So I also feel like we need to express our gratitude. This is a really important thing when it comes to ascension and enlightenment, because when we focus on the things that we're grateful for, what we're actually doing is creating more of that thing. And I think in this particular context, it's like the universe is saying to you, you either have been or will be going through a really spontaneous awakening. That awakening is going to shake your foundation and shake you to the core, because the judgments about who you think you are and who you actually are not in alignment with each other. And so as you go through this remembering, because it is a remembering of the soul plan of who you really are and what you're really doing here and what's really happening in the reality that we're walking around in, and the birthing of the new earth as we move into the 5th dimensional frequencies of the collective awakening, it's like you're the one who is going to be anchoring that in through your physical body, through this blue flame that I keep coming back to. So be silent, be observing all of the things that are going into your reality right now, because ultimately, when we observe the patterns, we create the patterns. We can break the patterns and we can change the patterns. But if we're unaware of what the patterns are, we can't change anything and we're powerless. So it's an empowerment into the recognition of the pattern of reality. See this matrix up here coming up right next to observation? Observe the matrix. See how it plays out at a subatomic level, plays out at a spiritual level, at a frequency level, so that you can resurrect yourself in the quickest way possible. And it's in the darkest of dark moments that we actually find our light. And I think that this is super important for you guys. When you're going through this stage of spirituality, it can get very dark. It can get dark, I'm not going to lie. And in that darkness is where we find the hope that we need to move forward, and we find the gratitude for the things that we do have. It's only after we've suffered a loss that we can gain the world. And I think that you're going through the process of the loss of the identity of the individual self and the gaining of the identity as a collective being, as a part of a bigger whole. And I think that that can be really terrifying to the ego. So just know that you're not alone as you go through this process. You have a whole soul tribe here with you, trying to help you to get into this new frequency. And it's all about the sensory integration, guys. I really want to say that the quickest and best thing that you can do for yourself right now is learn about telepathy, learn about claircognizance, learn about clairvoyance, learn about mediumship, learn about channeling. If you guys would like some help to do that, I am very good at teaching people how to do this for themselves. Please do comment below if you'd like a hand in figuring all of this stuff out. It can get overwhelming when we're first stepping into it. So please do feel free to reach out for some help. But ultimately, you guys are on the right path for you. And I think that at this point, you're exactly where you're meant to be. So congratulations on your ascension into the blue flame and the embodiment of the blue flame in the fifth dimensional frequencies. And just remember, as I said before, guys, this is just a snapshot of who you are at this particular moment as I read you. It's not necessarily who you are. Who you are is infinite. Who you are is magnificent. Who you are is beyond comprehension for anybody. So don't let yourself be limited by labels, guys. Hope this helps. Please do let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one.